everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, April 24th, 2022. Who's up for a hockey game? Hockey, hockey, hockey. This game is going to be killer. Woo! Got all the snacks packed up in a little to-go bag. Connor's practicing his slap shots or his rim shots or whatever. And then, whoops, Ray got all caught up wearing his spiffy new jacket and forgot that the hockey game tickets were in the old jacket. That's okay. I'll just go home, get the tickets, drive back blindfolded, and then, whoops, dead. Just like that, dead. It's too foggy to drive a couple of miles within Genoa City, but it's not too foggy to drive all the way to Chicago. Okay. Oh, Lord, what a way to go. What a way to go. An off-screen death. No deathbed sequence in the hospital. No close-up of his face in the car. Not even a bloody hand. Just, oh yeah, that guy, he's dead now. But we can stop and get some ice cream on the way home if you want to. Uh-oh. Connor is too sad for ice cream. Too sad for ice cream. Well, you know what that means. Clock tower, rifle, here he comes. Yeah, well, I'm too sad for ice cream, too. I don't know why, but I am so annoyed that Adam and Chelsea told Connor that his best buddy was dead and then offered to go get some ice cream on the way home. That is so trite. Ugh. Chelsea's devastated now that she's not going to have the opportunity to steal Ray away from Sharon. She's like, man, I was working on that. Now I'll have to settle for Chance, especially now that Chelsea and Abby are such good friends now. I'm sure that Chance is going to have to be the new buddy for Connor / love triangle for Chelsea / cop. Have you noticed that there's only ever room for one cop in this town? Just ask Paul. Ray took the job and then Paul disappeared. And now Chance came back to the force and Ray disappeared. To heaven. I tell you. Well, I had a really great idea this week. Mariah and Tessa offered to postpone their wedding due to death, but Sharon was not having any of it. So I'm thinking, how about instead Tessa and Mariah can just go ahead with their plans to adopt a baby, and then they can pay tribute to Ray by naming the baby Ray Rosales Copeland Porter Newman Abbott Winters Chancellor. What do you think of that? Hey, I don't suppose that Ray has a special pen that maybe they could use to sign the adoption papers, does he? You know, a pen that was real near and dear to Ray's heart? Can you go into the closet and dig one out, Sharon? I think we can all easily agree that anything and everything good about this rests completely on the incredible performance of Sharon Case. Good for Sharon Case, bad for Jordy, but good for Sharon Case. She should get all of the Emmys this year. I think the other nominees should just concede and then crowd surf her right on up to the stage. That's what I think. she's amazing. She's amazing. I'm mad that I had to cry. She made me cry so much, and I'm upset that I had to be so upset. I just wish she hadn't been wearing that one-piece pantsuit the entire time. That was throwing me off. Looking like she was getting ready to go on Sexy Safari or something. Could they not have put her in something different? Like one of her wedding dresses? That would have really packed the emotional punch. Oh. I'm not crying, you're crying. She looked like she had been secretly crying before she even got the news. She knew the news before she ever even got it. No one even had to tell her. Nick had the job of getting to go tell her, but he didn't have to. She knew. She just knew. And that kills me. It absolutely kills me. The moment where she told Nick to stop, that she already knew what he was going to say. It was just that was the moment of all of the moments of the week right there. She knew there was no way that Ray would have missed that game unless something deadly would have happened. She didn't even have a reaction of like, maybe he had an accident, maybe he's in the hospital. She knew he was gone. And now she's planning his funeral. I don't even know if there's going to be a funeral in Genoa City. I mean, Sharon called Ray's mother, and Celeste said that she would really like him to be buried in Miami, which I kind of agree in a way is where Ray should be. I think his heart was in Miami, but I also think it's totally Sharon's call. And honestly, this seems like a cop-out to me. This seems like an out to me. I wouldn't be surprised if Sharon agreed to Celeste's request and the funeral did get held in Miami and we never see it, because Y&R didn't bother to show Ray even involved in the crash at all. He died off screen. Why would they bother now to give him an on-screen funeral? It was a 3-car pileup out by the old Blue Barn. Victoria and Ashland and Ray. Ashland couldn't save Ray, but he was desperate to save Victoria. He pulled her from the fiery wreckage, which totally destroyed her white outfit, by the way. I knew something was going to happen the moment I saw her in white. You can't keep white white. That's the rule of the universe. Ashland picks Victoria up. He rips her from the car. He carries her to a nearby cabin, the love nest with black walls, we'll call it. What did you guys think of the cabin set? Black walls, a flower sack curtain, and the 2 cutest little dining room chairs. They were yellow. I said, oh, that looks vintage and interesting. But the place needed some serious spring cleaning. I got the heebie-jeebies just thinking about what all must be creeping and crawling around in that cabin. Do you think that all of this is where the Chance.com set went? Because remember how that disappeared? We used to have the Chancellor Industries Chance.com Lily Billy office set, and then Lily said that they were doing some remodeling. Was Y&R just making room for this? For all of the, not just the cabin, but the wreckage and everything? I don't know, but I thought that the car crash site looked great. Very real. I mean, even all of the driving scenes with the reflections and the windshields, and then, Nick and Chance standing out in the fog, and not to mention the fact that the car was actually on fire. I mean, it was all very, very well done. It seemed very modern, very high-tech, high production value. Yes, Ashland saved Victoria's life in the way that he could not save the original Ashland Locke's life. Oh, the irony. Ashland breaks the news to Victoria that Ray died in the accident, and Victoria freaked out. She feels responsible for Ray's death. She also got a sprained knee and a pretty bad burn on her forehead, and now she's walking around with a cane, but she was right back to work the next day. Car engulfed in flames on Wednesday, back to work on Thursday. That's commitment. That's CEO material. The Newmans were temporarily grateful to Ashland for saving Victoria's life, but Victor didn't waste any time before following up to remind Ashland that they had a deal. Victor did that $500 million PayPal transfer like a champ. Clickety-click, there you go, deal done. And now Victor tells Ashland that he had better be moving along now. The fog has lifted. What are you waiting for? Well, Victoria still loves him, and she's still secretly taking his phone calls. She did admit to Nikki before the crash that she really was considering running away with him before she turned the tables on him. And snap, I mean, did she ever turn the tables on him? She got Ashland lulled into a false sense of security, got him to agree to Adam's deal, and essentially Ashland signed away his life's work and their marriage, and then she told him, oh, you really thought I was gonna run away with you? Shoot! I sure did. She fooled me. I did not know what was going on. I did not know who to believe. How could I have been such a fool? It was all a lie, all along. Ashland lied to Victoria and me from the very beginning. You guys were right. I didn't want to believe it, but you guys made a good point that this writing team just does not do twists. The whole Ashland was lying all along thing was just right there. The writing was on the wall the entire time, right next to Victoria's portrait. I knew that somebody was going to smash that portrait someday. I'm so glad that it got to be her smashing her own oil portrait. Great, great moment. Flashback worthy for years to come, no doubt about it. Took her a couple of tries to get it through that conveniently placed spiky statue on the desk, but it was great, a great moment nonetheless. She just so happened to get it right through the eye, too. Did you see that? She stabbed the portrait perfectly through one of the eyes. I guess I should have known that we were building to that moment all along, the second he got her the portrait. I don't know why I didn't see it. I guess love is blind, literally, with a spike right through the eye. Oh. I don't know. I kind of feel like I can't even look at Ashland anymore. He faked his cancer. It's confirmed. He sent his kid away. He pretty much said nope to Harrison. He let Victoria send her kids out of the house too. Ended up shipping them off to boarding school. And then he just let everyone believe that he had this disease that is so personal and so rampant and so dear to so many people's hearts. It's just yucky. It's so yucky, and he's just yucky to me now. I don't know how I'm going to unsee it. It's probably going to take like at least a month before I can forgive him. Because really, if you think about it, it would be a disservice to Ray's death if Victoria did not get back together with him. Big week for Adam. Everybody loves him. Victor loves him. Sally loves him. I think we know which one of those two loves is more important to him, though. Victor tells Adam that he is impressed with him. Oh, positive reinforcement. I'm sure that Adam will be feeding himself on these scraps for weeks. And then it will be followed by threats and emotional withholding when Adam does something that Victor does not like. But for now, let's go with it. Even Nikki and Nick had to bite their tongues and say a thank you to Adam for saving the day. But I think the biggest thank you came from Sally. When word got out that Victoria was missing and that there was a possible car accident, Adam started questioning his own approval rating. He was asking himself if he was really worried about his sister or if he was just worried about whether or not he would be able to take her place pretty soon to put his portrait on the wall. But Sally reassured him, as she is oft to do these days. She tells him that he is good. He's good. And she knows this because she wouldn't be falling in love with a guy who was cold and selfish. Whoa! Falling in love? Is it too early for love? That's what I'm asking myself. I don't know. Is it too early for love? She's in love with him? I don't know. But I like Adam and Sally, but I'm kind of wondering if being in love with him is a little quick for me right now. Can't we just back up and be in sex with him for a little while longer? Turns out Diane was not a big shot architect in Los Angeles. She was just a working gal, a real estate agent, hustling for an honest day's pay. And that's how she knew that Chemo's house was on the market. Not that she's working some long-term plan to get back together with Jack. No, she's innocent. Innocent, I tell ya. Oh. Well, Phyllis paid Diane a visit. I mean, was Diane really expecting to stay in Phyllis's hotel and not incite a confrontation? Or I don't know, maybe that's exactly what Diane was hoping for, but Phyllis didn't give it to her. Phyllis, in fact, let Diane know that, oh, she's the least of her problems. Diane has some pretty powerful enemies in Genoa City, and that actually did make Diane start to second guess her plan to come here. Next week in the previews, we see Jack is telling Nikki, A, Diane is alive, and B, Diane is in town, which means that Nikki will also be running into Diane, which should be fun. I look forward to that. I'm sure that Allie's going to be arriving in town soon because Tracy was warning Jack early in the week not to bring Allie to Genoa City, only because it's a period of turmoil and Kyle's going to be coming soon and we don't want to bring Allie into the mix when things are a little bit in an upheaval. We want to bring her in and show her our best side. But Kyle's coming. Next week we saw the for the previews that he's here. He's officially returning to Genoa City. I have to say, I think he was looking super cute, and apparently he is going to be followed to town by Summer, but not Hunter King as Summer. We are getting a new Summer. The actress's name was Allison Lanier. Hope I'm saying that right. I'm sure I'm not. But she's very pretty. She looks the part very much. And I don't know, I guess we'll have to wait and find out if she's going to be able to fill Summer's fashionable shoes. When did you become the cockeyed optimist? That was our Who Said It quote from last week. It was Jack. He was talking to Phyllis about how successful the LA trip was. She was saying, well, at least you got to connect with Allie. And he said, well, when did you become a cockeyed optimist? I mean, we did find out that Diane's alive. But hey, Phyllis was looking on the bright side of things. Jack was the answer, though. Congratulations, Daisy, Henry, Herman, Victoria, Sue W., Ambreen, Kamna, Tommy, Heather K., and Diana. A lot of winners this week. Well, here's another optimistic comment. You can tell me if you know who said it. It's like the universe is trying to make us feel better. Isn't that nice on a gloomy week? It's like the universe is trying to make us feel better. Do you know who said that? If you do, you should go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Well, now, I am excited to jump right into your comments because, of course, there were so many of them this week. This was a really big week. I didn't have a whole lot to say, really, about Ray's death. I don't know what I could say that I already haven't said or that everybody else didn't say better. So I'm going to, I think, lean on you guys a little bit more for that. And I also am going to ask you a poll question this week that I think is a little bit unique. This week for the poll at yrchat.com, I would like for you to rate Ray Rosales. On a scale of 1 to 5 stars, I would love for you to give me a rating on the character of Ray Rosales. Now, you can interpret that any way you want because, you know, the element is, you know, Geordie and his performance, but there's the element of the writing and what he was given to work with. So what do you think about the character of Ray overall? He was on the show for 4 years, 2018 till now, 2022. So he was around for a long time, a fairly long time in soap terms. And I'm just kind of curious to know how many stars you would give to Ray overall. Think back to 2018 and bring it up to speed to today. How would you rate him? And now on to your comments about him. Robbie says, I'm really sad about Ray. I didn't think it would hit me so hard. The whole Rosales family was so great. Ray and Mia's scenes were some of the best during that time period. Ray really benefited from having extreme characters to react to. Stripping him of Mia and Arturo didn't do him any favors. Now they kill him off and rob us of a proper death scene. This is all too much. This is an excellent comment, Robbie, that it's like Ray was the straight man character, and so he really benefited from having extreme characters to react to. And when his family was taken away, he really didn't have as much of that, and it didn't do him any favors. Great point. I miss Mia and Arturo and Lola, too. I absolutely do not think we are going to be seeing them for a funeral or anything else. I just doubt it very much. Victoria says, I'll miss having Ray on my screen, if only for how handsome he is. One of Ray's best qualities was how he cared for Sharon's children. I never sensed that he treated them any differently than he would have his own. I always felt that Y&R let the viewers down when they decided to write out the Rosales family. Mia was quite a firecracker and a really great addition. Celeste, the Rosales matriarch, could have given Jack his one true love, but they passed. Lola was also underused. What a shame to let characters with such potential go. Yeah, I mean, I really think that Y&R had struck gold with the Rosales family, and I just will never understand why they decided to cut them all, and I guess it was only a matter of time until Ray followed them. Gary asks, is Paul Williams not professionally obligated to attend the funeral of Ray Rosales? Oh, there's a question, isn't it? Will there be some kind of off-screen mention or some Chance saying about how Paul is so upset about this? I bet Chance will come and say, oh, we did some type of saluting, diggy. We did something for the extra special officers at the police force for for Ray to pay tribute and honor to him. I'm sure Chance will have something like that to say, but you can bet your bottom dollar that Paul Williams ain't gonna have nothing to do with it. He'll be off-screen referenced for sure. Oh, and now the saving grace of the whole thing, I'm letting you guys take the lead on this because you're saying it better than I can. Naomi says, Sharon's scenes on Thursday's show were so well done. It was heartbreaking to see her slip into despair as the evening wore on. Then when Nick showed up, she knew why, but wanted a few moments before receiving the news. Great acting. I cried for and with Sharon. Oh, excellent. Kamna says, I think she knew even earlier than that, but she just kept distracting herself. Even the conversation with Chelsea was a distraction because she knew. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, Kamna, because when Sharon was talking to Chelsea, kind of confronting the feelings that Chelsea may or may not have for Ray, it felt so out of place for me. I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, why are you doing this now? You've agreed to send them off. It seemed a little bit out of place to now be saying those things. It seemed like something she should have said a while ago, or maybe something she should say out of anger later. But maybe you're making a great point there that it was just her trying to think of something that wasn't her worst fear that was coming true. Diana says the whole evening felt so eerie as Sharon was calling Ray on his phone, while all the while Ray was already dead. I thought the atmosphere and the intensity for sending Ray off was very well done, as it gave us a lot of emotional drama. Yes, Diana, and that's what it is, ultimately. It's emotional drama. We didn't get a whole lot of plot drama out of it. It's funny because I'm just thinking back to some comments on the website that I saw where I'd remembered, I stopped watching The Bold and the Beautiful, but I had remembered reading that they also, on The Bold and the Beautiful, killed off Finn, who was a nice guy character. You know, they sort of kill off these nice guys to give us that emotional punch, that emotional drama. And I think it was Sue W. Maybe, or Sandra, I can't remember who, started with an S. Somebody mentioned, I think Sue W., that Finn got killed off, but it launched a bunch of plot points for the show, whereas here with Ray, really it gave us the emotional drama and the emotional drama only. I don't think it's going to launch a bunch of plot, but, you know, then again, maybe it will. We don't know that yet. Calmness says, so even the great Victor Newman dives into emotional eating when the molten chocolate cake and all. I joke only because the pain of Ray's death is too much to handle. Yeah. I thought that moment was interesting too. I mean, distractions. Just as Sharon was trying to distract herself, Victor was trying to distract Nikki with the chocolate cake. Yes. And, you know, as far as joking about it, that's exactly where my heart is right now too, Kamna. There's just so much tears. I mean, what am I going to do? Lean on the agony for an hour? No, I mean, you know, you joke because you're kind of almost trying to distract yourself from it. And that's my version of it. Cheryl Lynn says, quote, save it for your diary. I busted out laughing. That was so funny. That line was so funny. Victor goes to visit Ashland, and Ashland starts to tell Victor how much he loves Victoria, and Victor says, no, save it for your diary. That was a really nice line. Sherrod says, so now Mariah and Tessa are walking down the aisle. Nick will walk Mariah, but who the heck, had to refrain from using the other word, will walk Tessa down the aisle. This is why we still needed Ray to at least be here for the wedding. He could have walked her down the aisle. Tessa and Ray have come a long way since their first meeting that night. He almost shot her outside of Sharon's house and then drug her by the arm into the house. Although the scene was supposed to be intense, I find it funny. We did see in the preview that Mariah is asking Nick to walk her down the aisle. No one gets to walk Tessa down the aisle, I guess. Yeah, she just doesn't have the family, the family unit. It's, you know, and Tessa and Ray had that in common, you know. But so it sounds like the wedding is going to be on. Ellen says, yikes, it would be cold if the show sticks with the May 13th date, as if a new widow would be ready to carry on as a cheerful mother of the bride. No, no, no. Either way, wedding on or off, they are messing with Mariah yet again. Yes, Alan, I think you left this comment a little bit earlier in the week because we had Sharon suggesting that they that they continue on with the wedding. They had offered to postpone it, and Sharon said no, no, no. But you're right; it is kind of weird that 3 weeks from now Sharon is going to be at the wedding. Maybe it is yet again another distraction, but it is a little bit odd, I guess, that she would want them to go through with it, and but I mean, it's probably true that Ray would want them to continue on. I think it would be more awkward for Tessa and Mariah, maybe feeling bad for feeling happy in a way. So I don't know. Would you want them to postpone the wedding? Yes or no? I'm not sure. Oh, I don't know. I'm ready for a wedding. Maybe this is why. Maybe the wedding is going to be Y&R's way of sweeping us up into some happiness after putting us through this. Let's talk about Victoria, because the Laura says, I'm glad Victoria's portrait is destroyed because that blouse was hideous. I never liked the portrait all that much, to be honest with you. I kind of gotta agree. I thought it was odd that they put her in the rose floral print blouse. And I thought it was odd that her hair was swept over to one side. Not my favorite look, I have to say. I think the oil portrait should be powerful and commanding and, I think she should maybe look stern. And yet the roses suggested feminine, and the hair swept to one side also kind of suggested feminine. It was, I don't know, I sort of wanted the portrait to be colder than it was. It seemed a little bit more casual. Yeah, I think maybe we need to commission a new portrait now, or I don't know, maybe Adam will have his portrait on the wall. Michelle says, Victoria Newman smashing her portrait is something I have been eagerly awaiting since Ashland gifted it to her. Seeing it wobble a bit on the rubber props that are meant to be sculptures was okay by me. Bring back Victor's portrait, please. He built this company from the ground up, and his portrait belongs there forevermore. I agree. I would like Victor's portrait to go back up. Honestly, I think because he founded the company and because it's his office and because, I mean, come on. We all know it's Victor's everything. It's Victor's world. Everybody else is just acting in it. I think Victor's portrait belongs back on the wall. I would love to know where it is. It kills me to think it's in a prop room somewhere getting dusty. We need that portrait back up on the wall. And it's funny also that you mentioned that they're rubber props. They probably are. I never thought about it before. But yeah, I thought that spiky thing. Yep, okay, I see what's about to happen here. I never thought about it being rubber, but I felt really bad when it bounced back the first time. But she rolled with it. She recovered. Diana says, I'm not sure if anyone else saw this, but I could see skin-colored tape across Victoria's nose when she was in the abandoned shack with Ashland after the accident. It was quite noticeable. It appears it was taped on makeup that was used to give Victoria the injured look on her forehead. Oh, I didn't notice this at all, Diana, but I wanted to mention it in case anybody else saw it and it was nagging at them. So it's maybe like a clear wound that's applied, maybe like a sort of temporary tattoo type thing as opposed to actually, putting on the practical makeup effect. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I'll have to go back and look. Well, let's talk about this accident. We have a lot of skeptical chatters this week, but not Annie D. Annie D says, we know that the crash was an accident, but this is the perfect opportunity for Ashland to win Victoria back over, saving her life and telling everyone that the accident was his fault. If the cops do their job right, they'll see that it was Ray who caused the accident. Ashland will want to cover it up for her, and Ashland can be devious. He may try to blackmail her into remarrying him, or he'll change his story that she caused the accident. Just a theory. Okay, well, I think you left that comment a little earlier in the week, but I still think there's a possibility there. I mean, Ashland is right now claiming his love and seeming like everything is on the up and up, but I don't know. Herman says, I'm not sure if I believe it happened the way that Ashland describes it. Victoria was the one in emotional distress, yet Ray was driving erratically. Keisha says, considering the source, I have a hard time believing Ashland's recount of the story. Ashland has been lying from the very beginning. We didn't even see Ray behind the wheel. It's ridiculous that we're expected to believe Ashland now. Ashland Luck is the man who cried wolf. Well, I tell you, I am going to defer to you guys on that one because I didn't want to see his lies. I didn't want to believe it. And yet, I mean, it was written in stone the whole way, I'm sure. Daisy says, there just happened to be a cabin to bring Victoria to. And what luck! There were 2 cold waters in it. I don't believe Ashland is any savior. If he were innocent, then he would have stayed by the accident and told the authorities what happened. It's more likely to me that Ashland followed Victoria and caused the crash to make himself look like a big shot hero. Hey man, if he is willing to go as far as faking cancer, then there's no doubt in my mind that he could do that too. Sherrod says, I find it amazing how quickly Victor and Nikki believed Ashland's story about the accident, since they feel that everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie. But it clears their precious Victoria from any wrongdoing, so I guess, oh well. Yeah, and Astra says this narrative that somehow Ray was in Victoria's lane is kind of bugging me. I feel like it's a way to excuse Victoria of any wrongdoing. I understand it was an accident, but Victoria was holding a cell phone and was hysterical on top of it, being foggy, which is not a good combination. I just don't like this seemingly pinning it on Ray like he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing when it all seems so out of character. I'm wondering if it's going to come out later that he was trying to answer Chelsea's call and got distracted or something. And Gary zings, Chelsea is a jinx for anyone who knows her. Yeah, really, this is Chelsea's fault if you really want to take it all the way back. It's true. It's like knowing Chelsea is just a jinx on your life. She poisoned him, and then she dared buy those hockey tickets. But I gotta back up to Astra's point here, too, that it is kind of almost like, okay, not only is Ray dead, and we're all grieving him and whatever, but there's a very real implication that it was his fault. I mean, he was in the other lane. He swerved into another lane, which, I mean, it's an accident. I mean, nobody does that on purpose. He certainly didn't intend to. There's no reason to think that he was under the influence in any way. I mean, it was foggy is the explanation, but yeah, it's kind of yucky on top of yuck to think that, oh, don't worry, God, everybody, it was Ray's fault. Don't anybody ask any questions. He's dead, and it was his fault. That feels a little blah. Well, Keisha says Sharon knew what was up. Ray was a clueless idiot, but he was Sharon's clueless idiot. Chelsea, the con, was working Ray. Today, it's the hockey game with her son. Tomorrow, Chelsea's car breaks down. Ray was her mark, and she was setting the stage. Yeah, indeed, Keisha, indeed. And now, how much you want to bet she's going to find another mark, and how much you want to bet that mark is named Chance. Let's talk about Adam. T. Nicole says there's so much going on this week. But did Y&R not follow up on Sally telling Adam she's falling in love with him? Please tell me we will get Adam's reaction to that news. Did he say it back? That's such a good point, T. Nicole. So much was happening this week, and they totally dropped the Sally love bomb and cut the scene, and the next thing we know, Adam is in a different scene telling Chelsea and Connor about Ray. So we will not see his reaction to that. We're not going to know. probably they're going to pick it up next week, and maybe he's going to be, maybe Sally's going to say, you didn't react to what I said to you, and then we'll get his reaction. I don't know why we didn't get one more scene out of that. Very strange. But Tina Cole also mentions that Sally looked gorgeous in her red wine dress. That's the type of look you have when you drop the line that you are falling in love with Adam Newman. Oh yeah, you got to be dressed appropriately for dropping the bomb that you're in love with Adam Newman. Like, you better have a real good look to go with that to ensure that he returns the sentiment. But I imagine we'll know next week. Sue W. says, it's occurred to me as I've read so many recent comments that Adam and Sally are rather alike in their desperation for acceptance. Not really a light bulb moment here, but in some ways they're just enabling each other's victim status, even while standing in allegiance. Support is great if it builds one up, but when the support continues to emphasize you're seen as less, it can be counterproductive. That's interesting that to see them in that way, that's something that they have in common, is this sort of desperate need for approval, be it from one specific source or from many sources. Ellen says, if Hope were still alive, it would bring some balance to the toxic Newman narrative about Adam. They are all ridiculous when it comes to how terrible Adam supposedly is. Can we now bring back Hope from the dead? Oh wait, chemo first, then Hope. We insist. Well, that would be a dream come true for me. Chemo and Hope? As with Sidney Coleman as Hope, I would lose my mind. But yeah, again, this is such a great point that we need Hope. We need someone like Hope, or maybe an aunt or someone. Adam needs a family member to pop up out of nowhere. There needs somebody to be there who can just quietly and steadily reassure him when he needs it, as opposed to it always kind of being an up and down, up and down, up and down emotional roller coaster. We need someone to just say, you're fine, you're fine, you know it, you're fine. Henry says, I'm anxious to have Adam as CEO. He has the education and everything it takes. Victoria and Nick were just born on third base. Nikki's a former stripper turned COO. I've always found that to be ridiculous. Adam deserves the position. I think Victoria deserves the position too, I have to say. I think that, that's a sort of an interesting philosophical question in a way. Who gets the reward? The person who did the formal education and training, or the person who worked their way up from the mailroom? The truth is Victoria worked at that company since she was a teenager, and I think she did start in the mailroom. So she's someone who's been at that company for a very long time, and that's something that, I don't think it should be dismissed in lieu of formal education either. So I actually think that Adam and Victoria are both qualified to be the CEO. It ultimately just comes down to Victor's choice, I suppose. Nikki is the odd fit, though, because she really never was that much involved in the business. I'm sure she's perfectly capable, but it's sort of like Lily in her CEO position, right? She really didn't have any formal education, and yet here you go. Well, let's talk about Adam and his approval rating. I asked you guys if you approve or disapprove of Adam, and 85% of you picked approve. Wow, that's a pretty good strong majority. 85 approve, 15% disapprove. Ellen says, as Adam's longtime fake defense attorney, I regret that I only have one vote to cast in his favor. May he rise above his detractors and prosper. If he is again tempted by dark impulses, he can always save more Newmans from burning buildings, collapsing barns, bullets, or donate more vital organs. Victoria, Nick, and Abby just breathe air and all is forgiven. Adam, however, must be ready to perform more acts of heroism to atone for whatever. Fortunately, Super Adam keeps his cape handy. That is so true. I wonder if we're going to find Ashland Locke in that situation now, too. The second he pulled Victoria out of the fiery wreckage, I thought, oh, boy. Well, how many more babies is he going to have to save to get there, to get the redemption treatment? Tony says, I approve of Adam and all the storylines the writers are putting him in. I just don't prefer Mark Grossman in the role, and I have to remove the image of Mark Grossman to follow the storyline. The character of Adam is brilliant and has so much depth. Good and evil, loved and hated. He wants to be a Newman, yet he wants to be independent. For me, this actor is just not believable as the character. Apologies to Mark Grossman and the chatters who love him. Yeah, I had a hard time adjusting to Mark Grossman as Adam, no doubt about it. And it's really only been maybe within the past year that I've really started to accept and embrace and appreciate what he's bringing to the role. When you think of Adam, then, Tony, who do you think of? When you hear the name Adam Newman, which incarnation do you see? And in some ways, I think maybe I've started to see Justin Hartley in there a little more often too. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Which is the preferred Adam of all the Adams? Maybe that should have been a poll. Well, Victoria says, I think Adam overstepped by going to Ashland Lock without talking to the Newman family. I think his approach was sound, but the amount of the payoff should have been discussed. Not because the Newmans can't afford it, but because of the implications of how successful Ashland has been with this game. The more money equals the more successful. However, Victor telling Adam what his motivations were for going to Ashland was overstepping. Adam should be congratulated for finding the way to get Ashland out of their lives. It should not be a contest between Adam and Victoria. Victoria is in no frame to overmaneuver Ashland. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, let's end on this comment from Sue W. about the new summer. Sue W. says, I'm excited for the new actress. Even though I have no clue who she is, I loved Hunter King, but as Summer herself isn't a particularly complex character, I think a newbie who can play equal parts vixen and sweetheart will be able to make the role her own. But most importantly, any successful Summer replacement will have to hold her own in the scenes with the incomparable scene-chewing Michelle Stafford. I wonder what will not only bring Kyle and Summer back to Genoa City, but keep them here after their Everything's Fantastico in Milan dream life. This is an interesting point, Sue W., that Summer herself really isn't a very complex character. I didn't never connect the dots on that, but you're totally right. She just needs to be able to play equal parts vixen and sweetheart, and she's got the role covered. But I think the answer to the question of why Kyle and Summer will be giving up their fantastical Milan is a dream life is because of Diane. It seems like, well, Kyle's going to be making that decision for himself. Mommy dearest is alive, and she's come for her son. Well, I think that just about does it for me for this week. I'm wrapping it up a little quickly. I'm in a little bit of pain. Guys, I gotta tell you this, because no one else would care. Nobody but you would care about this at all. But last Sunday, after I recorded Y&R Chat, instead of just taking a nap and relaxing, which is what I should have done, I decided that I wanted to dust my whole house. And so I was trying to dust this difficult to reach area. I was on the floor, twisted into this very tight little space. And when I was finished with the dusting, I was wedged and I could not figure out how to get myself out of the wedge. And I ended up doing this really dumb little twist move trying to get up and out, and I sprained my knee. I was in bed for the following 3 or 4 days. Could not walk. Absolutely could not walk. Had to be in bed with it elevated, ice, heat, the whole shebang. But the point that I need you guys to appreciate is that on the day that Victoria was in the car accident and Ashland picked her up and took her to the cabin, had the water bottles, shoved them up under her knee, I was literally watching that episode in bed with my leg up and a water bottle, frozen water bottle shoved under my knee. A sprained knee. So to look like Victoria sprained her right knee and I sprained my left knee. And then the following episode, the day she went back to work with her cane, I'm also carrying a cane. I'm using a cane now. Here's my cane to get around. Is that crazy or what? Victoria's cane was a lot more upscale than mine. This is like an old one. This thing is the family cane. This was my dad's cane when he hurt his knee in like 85. My cane is old, but Victoria's looked new and like real nice. Like maybe it felt good on the hands. Nice grippy handle. But yeah, isn't that crazy? It's like life imitating art or art imitating life. I don't know which it is, but it was so bizarre to me that, whoa, me and Victoria, we're just getting more and more alike. Oh. And with that, I'm going to go, instead of trying to clean something, I'm going to go take a hot bath or something and relax the old knee. So it's your turn to take over. Go to yrchat.com to leave me your comments about the week. Give a rating to Ray Rosales, 1 to 5 stars, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And we'll come back next week. We'll read all of the comments about Ray and about all the other drama in Genoa City, which just seems so explosive. It's not even May, and here we are with all of this explosive drama. I can't wait. It's been good, and I'm looking forward to seeing where we're headed next week. I love you guys. I hope you have a really good week. Don't clean anything. No dusting. No twisting. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.